Hey, what's up, guys? And today I wanted to go over my pure Mitsurugi deck profile for post-alliance insight. Right now, people are mainly talking about Ryzeal Mitsurugi. However, I think the pure version does have a few advantages over the Ryzeal version that may make it worth playing. Starting off, I think the deck is much better versus some more Charmy cards, mainly Perulia and Swallows, which a lot of people are main decking, and I am tier 2. So being good versus those is pretty good. Also, the deck can play two very good cards, Dominus Impulse and Dimension Shifter, which Ryzeal Mitsurugi cannot really play. Well, I have Shifter in the side right now, but Impulse is really good versus everything. Shifter is like meh right now, but Impulse is like crazy. So yeah, I think it does have some advantages over the Ryzeal Mitsurugi deck, so I think there's some reason to play it. Also, overall, the deck is cheaper than Ryzeal Mitsurugi, so there's that as well. Maybe I'll start off by going over what some of the new cards do. Excuse me. So first you have Amino Habakiri no Mitsurugi. You can ritual summon this card with Mitsurugi Ritual. Monster your opponent controls 800 attack. You can reveal this card in your hand, special summon one Mitsurugi monster from your deck, then tribute one monster you control. You can only use this effect of Habakiri once per turn. Once per duel, sorry. If this card is distributed, you can add a Mitsurugi card from your deck to your hand, and you can special summon this card. So this is pretty good. This is a one-card starter, which the deck really needed. You can just summon Saji, tribute Saji, and then you can add either prayers or ritual, depending on what you want, and either of those get you one card combo. So that's pretty nice. Then you have Aramasa, which says if this card is normal special summoned or attributed, you can add a Mitsurugi monster from your deck to your hand. Then if another reptile you control be summoned by a card effect, you can tribute this card instead. So it's another normal summon. But it searches the Habakiri, so that's really cool. And then Mitsurugi Mirror. This card can be used to summon any reptile ritual from your hand or graveyard. You must also tribute reptiles whose total level equal or exceed the level of the ritual. And then if Murakamo, Futsu, or Habakiri you control is tributed while this card's in your graveyard, you can shuffle this card into the deck. So this card is pretty cool. It lets you ritual summon from your graveyard, which is like getting some of your resources back without having the Kusanagi added back is pretty nice. But the most important part of this card is that it mentions the ritual monster's name, so you can play pre-preparation, which is nice. And yeah, those are like the main new Mitsurugi cards that I play. There's like a quick play spell you can play that's like okay, but I think the deck already has too many bricky cards, and honestly, you already have a bunch of targets you're trying to search. Whereas like you're trying to search a prayers, you're trying to end with a purification set. I feel like it's a little bit extra and not worth the brick. But anyway, yeah, let me get into the deck profile. Starting off, I have one Pot of Prosperity. You don't really care about the banishes in this deck at all, so as you see, the extract is mostly just utility, so you want it for consistency. 3 Mitsurugi Prayers, obviously 3 Habakiris, 1 card combo, 2 Aramasa. The reasoning for 2 Aramasa, not 3, because you might be like, well, it's 1 card combo, why would you not play 3? The problem is there are diminishing returns with it. And what does that mean? Well, if you draw like Aramasa with Habakiri, Aramasa is not really doing much. You can search a monster, sure, but you're not searching a monster that does anything. You're searching a card that relies on other cards to function. The only card it searches that is like proactive is Habakiri. So you already have a bunch of ways to Habakiri, where it's like opening it and like pre-prep and search it. So it's just, I feel like Aramasa is like a bit OD, but you want more like names. So I have 2 Aramasa. I have 2 Murakamo, just like grind game scenarios. 1 mirror, you don't need more than one. It's not great to draw because it requires a bunch of setup, and pre-prep can search it. So, speaking of pre-prep, 3 pre-prep, it's 1 card starter. That also searches a ritual spell, so it's pretty good in this deck. 3 Mitsurugi Mirror, a ritual. You want to hard open this card, unlike the Ryzeal Phoenix version, because you play more cards to make it live. 2 Saji. I'm not playing 3 because it's really bad. It's not good to open with Habakiri. Because if you open like Saji plus Habakiri, the Habakiri is only summoning like Kusanagi or like an Aramasa. And the problem with that is that those cards don't really help you progress your game state. Well, Kusanagi can if you already have like a Prayers or Ritual in graveyard, but if you don't, then it's not good. So, but I think you still want a second one for a grind game, so I do have the second one there. 1 Kusanagi for the grind, get back resources, only 1 because it's a brick. 1 Futsu. This is like one of your main like end boards, quote unquote. One Purification is a trap. I do think you want to main deck this in the pure version because you don't have that much end engine disruption. And if you're playing the deck because it's a good versatile Charmy cards, you're probably not trying to play into Flawless much. So I do think you need to main deck this. And then for the non-engine, 3 Imperm, 3 Impulse. Like I said, the deck can play Impulse, which is really cool. 3 Swallows, 3 Perulia, 3 Ash Blossom, and 2 Nibiru. Start off with the extra deck. I do have 1 King of the Parallel. Sometimes it could come up because you can make rank 4 relatively easily. Even though you're not playing that many, prayers can summon 1 and all your cards search. So you can make rank 4s easily. Gallant Granite to search Bureau. Bureau is just a random to making a random game stage. Evil Swarm Nightmare because your guys are dark, so you could make it, which is pretty cool. It's okay versus the meta. It's not like insane, but it's like pretty decent. 138 for a spell negate. To have a negate outside of Purification. 1 Gorillic Eternity. This card is more for utility going second. Because if it's XYZ summon, you can destroy all the monsters on the field, and then you can detach material and then pop a spell and trap. So it's pretty decent removal. And your Mitsurugi rituals are level 8, so you can make it alive. 1 Typhon, because you have extra space for it, and Zeus, because we play a lot of XYZs. For the links, I do play 1 IP and 1 SP. IP is going to be one of your main end board pieces. If you don't get hit by Swallows, something easy to just make on the opponent's turn that's more disruption, because sometimes the deck can lack a bit of disruption sometimes. 1 Dynamundo. IP can also go on the Dynamundo as well. And because we're playing a ritual deck, so we can shuffle a card back, and we can Dynamundo summon back something like a Mirror Combo, assuming it was properly summoned. So pretty chill there. 1 Reptilian Echidna, just for the utility, comes up to search a card in random game states, especially if you nib your opponent, you have an extra body or whatever. 1 Gloomy, because all of our guys are dark. A Nightmare Unicorn. It's just a link 3 to have, but Unicorn is pretty cool because, for example, let's say you're playing against Malice and they go normal summon the Malice name, like Dormouse or whatever. You could go IP and SP, but you just banish it. You just banish the Dormouse and it triggers and it comes back. So in that game state, you'd rather go IP into Unicorn to shuffle it back. If you have a card in hand, of course, to put back. So I think Unicorn's unironically pretty real right now. It sounds weird to say, but I think it's a good card because of Malice. And then 1 access code Talker, just a little bit of removal. You don't play that many attributes though. It's really just Dark and Earth, but Anyway, yeah, that's it for the deck list. Like I said, I think this deck is really good. I think it's definitely a top 6 deck. I don't think it's on the level of Ryzeal Mitsurugi. I think it does have some weaknesses, even though I mentioned some strengths, like being able to play Impulse and being good versus some Charmies. To talk about some of the weaknesses for a second, I think it's very it's very a one-dimensional deck. It doesn't have that many ways to actually play. So I feel like sometimes it's easily stopped, which is a bit unfortunate. Also, I feel like in this format, where I'm playing Molcharmies, this deck doesn't utilize the Molcharmies that well because you don't have that many different ways to remove cards going second. And I feel like when you're playing a deck with Molcharmies, you want that in your deck because you're gonna have to deal with a lot of half boards this format, especially versus Malice, which it can be very hard to hard stop them sometimes. Normally they're gonna end on at least something, so it's kind of a weird thing for this deck, unfortunately. But like I said, being good versus Molcharmies is nice, and being able to play Impulse is pretty good. Oh, also I think this deck's consistency is kind of Like in terms of 1 card starters, I do have I have 9 here. I could have 10 if I played it. Well, I guess 12 with the pre-prep, but there's a lot of diminishing returns in your starters because these are all 1 card starter, but they're all 1 card starter because they search Habakiri. So it does sometimes you do have a bit of the over reliance on your ritual spells, which is another negative of this deck. So and that's one of the things I think it's keeping it from being a top tier, tier 1 level. Because right now it's around tier 2, but that's one of the things stopping it from being there. But yeah, anywho, that's just the deck profile. If you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and take care.